All right, what's up? Let people get logged on here. I'll get mic'd up here, and we'll be ready to roll. What's up? Feel free to say hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Probably hear me better now that the mic is closer to my mouth. What's up, guys? Thanks for jumping on. Talking a little bit about franchises and answering you guys' questions. I want to get into the meat of the call today. I did have somebody who was asking about a home services or elderly care franchise. I do have one that we actually will offer financing on, which is interesting. If you want to reach out on it, feel free to shoot an email over to May, it's MAE, at incomeacquisitions.com, and you can get some info on that franchise. I had a couple people that were particularly interested in that. And obviously there's several of them out there, some interesting ones. We have kind of some in-house financing that's available for Always Best Care, which that's the name of it. So if you're interested in that one, feel free to reach out. We can tell you about how we offer a special deal on that one. But what's more important to that, and I wanted to go ahead and answer that question, but what's much more important than any particular franchise, and what's up, Jay? Thanks for coming on. Sherry, thanks so much. What's much more important than any particular franchise is your process for how you curate the franchises that you're going to look at. So you should never really be looking at a single franchise. You should always be comparing 3 or 4, and you're building kind of a pipeline. It's what we want to do for everything. When I'm working with investors, there's a funnel. When I'm looking for potential deals, there's a funnel. When I'm buying franchises, there's a funnel, and it's a smaller funnel. It's a more selected funnel, because you want to make sure that you're spending time on franchise and concepts that make sense on the 3 levels that I want to talk about. But then once they meet that criteria, you want to get into the kind of comparing them, and then create a competitive environment where you get their best offer. So the first step, and this is a mistake that most people make, I think the decision that you want to make is, do I want a franchise business? And that's really the first thing that you should decide, because it's an endless number of franchises. There are new ones that are coming out every day. You can find the right franchise, but the real goal is that the mistake that most people make is, instead of saying I'm in the market to buy a franchise, they say I'm in the market to buy a Subway franchise, or I'm in the market to buy a elderly care franchise. In both those cases, you're doing yourself a huge disservice, because you want to go in and be able to, it's basically like hearing about a girl and deciding that's the girl that I'm going to marry. So people hear things about a franchise and like, oh, that's the franchise that I'm interested in. And so before trying to find anything out, you're all you're doing at the beginning is just you've decided I'm going to buy a franchise. And then you start to build a list. Before you get any questions asked, before you get deep, you want to start to build a list. It's like, okay, well, Subway's on the list. Somebody just asked what the name of the franchise is. It's Always Best Care. That's on the list. Maybe there's a travel franchise. iTrip is on the list. All these things you're creating this list before you're trying to get deep and answer the question, because it's not about, is this the perfect franchise or is this the greatest thing? It's about, hey, how do the opportunities that are out there compare to each other? After you do that, you're answering three questions. Number one is how many territories are available in my area, and can I get the prime territory for this type of franchise? So if you're looking at something like I want to get the best. You know, when I bought the Plato's Closet franchise, there were two. There was only room for two in the city I was in, and there were two of them that both of them were available. One of them was at, every city has kind of the secondary mall, and then you have the prime mall. So one of the things compared to the other opportunities that I had that attracted me to that particular franchise was that I could get the best mall. So if I'm buying something, I wouldn't today. I got, when we're doing the subways, got right next to the biggest hospital in town. That was prime. The person that wanted to do the hospital is going to have to get the secondary one. Now, for that particular franchise, all the best spots are taken. I want the prime best spot for that concept. Everybody that comes after me is going to be a little bit serving mine. So if you have the prime spot, and this is kind of the psychology behind this, is if you've got the prime spot, you've got everybody else that's spending money on marketing that concept and putting money in the pot. You're getting more drive-by traffic. You're getting more of the natural traffic. So you're getting a bigger benefit from that pot than everybody else. So that's number one for me. Number two for me is, can I get a special deal? And I'll talk about how you get special deals in a second. But a big part of it is having the right funnel. So I want to know that either they've done the work already for me. They have a bank lined up that likes their concept, that's going to provide the financing, that's going to give me working capital. Like, you should really be able to get into these deals with very little money if the franchise has done their work. And then the third thing is it one that I can expand? So I'm not buying a franchise because I want to just own one unit. I'm buying a franchise because they've got the system, and it's a business system that is, basically makes it easy for you to start a unit. So it's not so much that the business itself, you can come up. It's not so much that the business itself is so amazing to me. It's that they've got this system created to be able to, after I've done one, to do more and more and more. Come and say hi, Valentina. In the last video, say hi. She was just bringing a coffee. I wanted her to say hi because we had a couple folks that were in the other video that when she was just chilling out. That's my assistant, by the way, not girlfriend or anything. So she was happened to be around. I said, you can sit and chill here in the video. So people are like, why is there a girl in the video? She didn't say anything. So yeah, she just saying hi. So the units that I want to be able to double, triple the size of my business by basically opening up other units. And so that means not only do I need mine, are there some surrounding cities where I can get that prime? Now, I'm not saying that I want to get the secondary. I want another city that is, 2, 3, 4 hours away where I can go and get another prime location. And the other thing that you're going to find is this is the key to being able to sell these things. Because guess what? Everybody who comes after you that wants to open up that franchise, they know that you've got a really great territory. And obviously they love the business. So if you have 5 more of them that come after you, guess what? They're eyeing your franchise. So when you're ready to sell, you can go one by one, probably create a bidding frenzy because all of them are going to want your unit. So these are the deeper things that you need to be thinking about that most people are like, oh, like, I love this business. They have a cool business model and that kind of thing. And so those three things are before I even get into what's my cash flow going to be like, what's the average cash flow of businesses, all of the standard things that you want to do research on, what's the failure rate of the businesses. And so you can get really deep into just the mechanics of comparing those franchises. Now, after that step, what you want to let each franchise know is like, hey, I'm considering these other franchises. And then what happens is you create a little bit of a competitive environment between the franchises, especially if you can get some concessions, or you can get some kind of a benefit from the franchises themselves to get financing in addition to what they may do normally. So, on one of my units, I ended up basically making an agreement that, hey, I want 2 of these units. I'm going to get a discount because I'm doing that. And you start to just negotiate some unique things, or, we'll give you a discount on the royalties for this period of time. And that becomes the second thing that you're comparing these five concepts between is, when you are buying any of these businesses, you want to negotiate just like you would if you were buying a single business. So curious, any questions on that? I wanted to just make a quick video just about the concept, because some of the questions that I'm getting, I think this is the question that kind of should be asked is, before you even get into that particular thing, I guess like in a lot of cases, instead of saying, is this a good or bad one, which of course there are plenty of bad franchises, you want to have a list of a lot of opportunities, and you start to learn a lot about the benefits between them. And it's easier to compare something and say whether it's good or not than it is to just say, oh, well, this is bad because of this. I know it's really interesting when it comes to this stuff. I've had some people that say, no, the Steak and Shake deal is just bad, or no, like the Chick-fil-A deal is just bad. And, it's not that I would do either one of those. It's that for the right person, for a unique person, that could be a good opportunity. I wouldn't put my clients in it, but I can see scenarios. I can see the corporate person that's working 80 hours a week and making 150,000, has no time for their family, has some money saved up, and they're going to go into one of those and kind of have that almost guaranteed income, and because they don't have the ability to go out and take a bunch of risks, that could be a neat thing for it to go into a Chick-fil-A. Because you're almost guaranteed to make an amount of money, and instead of 80 hours a week, you're going to go down to working 40 hours a week. So that's what you want to consider. And so in the right situation, something could make sense. But for all this stuff, you can't give the blanket, oh, for everybody, this is a great franchise, or for nobody, this is a good franchise. This is a bad franchise for everybody. Every situation is going to be a little unique. And then the second thing is, what kind of deal are you able to negotiate? Most people aren't doing this. Most people think you can't negotiate. I'm sure I'll get a couple comments on this, like, no, that doesn't work. You can't do it. It's like, just like when I do videos on no money down businesses that we've done and closed, and, people are like, no, that doesn't work. And it's like, I'm not debating whether it works or not. I'm talking about things that I've done. So, which is the other thing that I think is really crucial, is a great majority of your advice should come from the people that have actually done the exact strategy of whatever you're trying to do. So I focus on flipping franchise. I haven't owned a franchise for 20 or 30 years. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I want to own a franchise for the next 30 years and retire in it and blah, 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 then I can give them a little bit of advice, but they should, in addition to that, go and talk to somebody who's done that strategy. I flipped franchises, so I didn't really hold on to them for more than 3 years or so on average. So it's a much different strategy. So a couple thoughts there. Thanks so much for checking out the video, guys. Feel free to shoot over questions. I got a list of questions. Just because I didn't answer your question today doesn't mean that I didn't see it. but feel free to put it up again just to make sure that I don't miss it. And one of my assistants, May, is going through and she's getting all the questions, just putting them into a Google spreadsheet for me, which thank you so much, May. As well, you can email May for info on any of the franchises that I talk about here at may@incomeacquisitions.com. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't, like the video. Thanks for jumping on the live screen.